Good evening, and welcome to another haphazard and ridiculous episode of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. And now here's your meandering and Neanderthal host, Voice of Doom. All right. That explosion had nothing to do with Ukraine, had nothing to do with Russia, and had nothing to do with the southern border. It had to do with society at large. Because I was going to come home and do a screed, just yelling about whatever the hell was going on. And I thought I'd go into YouTube and see what the latest is. Before I did that, and I saw something I don't know. I see the liberal wokesters eating themselves and punching themselves. And I see the end of humor. I see the end of laughter. Now, I've told you before, I told you in a few episodes ago, that the liberal idiots, morons that are totally gone are some of the most talented people I've ever seen. And I give them credit because people who are fair. And people that have a certain bone to pick and people that have a certain, image to project due to whatever hue their skin is, they're not fair. They never are. And they're starting to eat themselves, and they're going to destroy themselves. Now, I was talking to my buddy today, who's a much better entertainer than anybody you'll see on the Oscars. Much better. And so am I. And we were talking about the Oscars and how it's degenerated into a wokism pile of crap. You got 50 nominees, and if it doesn't have something to do with somebody getting oppressed or something about, the indigenous whatevers from, New Zealand or Australia or something very, very politically correct, forget it. The Godfather never would have won. Amadeus, cisgendered, white, European guy, writes a few songs. They're going to make a movie out of Mozart. Come on. That's not going to make it. So I never watched the Oscars because I know it's turned into a pile of crap. But I saw a few snippets from all over the frickin' world about an episode that happened on the Oscars. And it just so happens that a comedian who was of color was making an offhand joke that didn't seem very offensive to another entertainer of color. And the entertainer decided, I'm going to defend my family and I'm going to go up on stage in front of 1 billion people or 1 million, or I think they have about 50,000 people watching, and punch his face. And it wasn't a joke. And I think that these wokesters better realize that if you're going to dish it out, you better learn how to take it. And you can't take it no more. You cannot take it. And believe me, I can tell you about William J. Smith, whatever the fuck his name is, his career, and he's an admirable person. And I will tell you that he started as a rap artist, and he got a TV show that was a big hit, and then he went on to become a major movie star. So I tip my hat to him. And I like the movies he was in. I've watched an awful lot of movies he was in, and I enjoy him, but I don't enjoy taking things personally, not being able to have fun anymore because everything's got to be like I got to defend. I got to be on the defense all the time. It's a disgusting spectacle. And he will go down in history as a person who punched somebody in the face on live TV. and he talked to D, and I like D. D. Enzel W. was in some of the best movies I've ever seen, and they were made by people that I can't stand. But I loved X, and I loved a lot of other movies he was in. He's a great, great actor. And he has the wisdom, I know, in his heart to know when to pull your punches, when to just flow with it. And I saw the look on his face, and it was like, man, you blew it. Okay, I didn't want to talk about this because it's boring. He wants to talk about a bunch of elitist stars that are telling us all what to do, telling us to ride the bus, telling us to suck it up for the sake of Ukraine, tell us to suck it up for the sake of the planet while they're flying around in Learjets. Sick of that shit. And everybody is. And they think we're stupid. Just because I'm not a big star doesn't mean that I don't have the brain capacity to know that you're hypocrites. And there's nothing worse than being a hypocrite. I would rather be anything than a hypocrite. And it was disgusting to watch that. I mean, you have a group of Wokesters getting together for an awards ceremony. Now, what do you think's going to happen? Because their whole thing is hatred about everything and how everything's bad, and you better not say anything bad about anybody. What do they want? They want some milquetoast, whipped cream world where everybody's nice to each other all the time. We're all so happy. It's going to be boring. I mean, get it together. You guys are smart enough to make movies that are great. You're smart enough to advance your careers to the stratosphere. And I give you credit for that, but I don't give you credit for not being able to have human interaction anymore. You've blown it. Hollywood's over. So get ready for it. Streaming movies, 10 million, thousand different outlets to make movies. Some idiot next door can make a movie with the technology we have now. You know, I remember the day when, if you wanted to be a rock star, you had to get a record contract. You had to get somebody to believe in you, and you had to go into the studio and you had to cut songs, and they had to invest money in you to make the records. And if it didn't sell, it didn't sell. I've seen billions of records in the bin of people that you never heard of. And some make it, and it's a 1 in a million shot, basically. But now anybody can do anything. My buddy could make a video just as good as anything that was made by Michael Nesmith or anybody else on his phone. And I'm serious. And I'll show them to you if you want to see them, because I've written a few songs that he's produced and made into videos, and they're reasonably professional looking, considering he uses his phone and he's just a guy that just has a little studio in his house. So come on. Quality production has to be so good now, because you have millions of people that can compete with you. Millions. So to have somebody that's got a good resume, somebody that's really made it in the business of show business, I guess you call it, has to stoop to that level, it's bad. And I don't care about colors anymore. It's one color beating another color. They're both the same. They look the same. And they're beating each other over what? A joke. A very innocuous joke. It wasn't even a dirty one. And it's like, I don't know what they're doing. And I'm hoping that it gets worse and worse. I don't want people canceled. I don't even care if stupid ass idiot, Alec Baldwin is canceled. I don't care if whatever the guy was, I can't even remember his name now, because I don't want to remember, from The Godfather, from Goodfellas. He's an ass. He's an idiot. But I don't want him canceled because he's a decent actor. So, it's really funny how the left wants everything to be right for everybody, but they're the most unfair, they're the most hateful, they're the most racist. It's obvious. I don't want to get into that. It's obvious. They're racist with the CRT, they're racist with people of a certain color are oppressed by nature. It's the original sin. You're born. The minute you're born, that your die is cast. Well, tell that to my nieces and nephews, who are all half black, and my sons, who are all half Hispanic. They are getting on fine in life. Nobody's telling them they can't do anything. If anything, they're not doing as much as they should, but, everybody's doing good. Nobody's oppressing them. So the truth will out. And even if the truth doesn't out, cause and effect is very strict. And people will suffer for perpetuating the hatred. I didn't even want to talk about this. I was going to talk about Ukraine or whatever. But I saw this thing on the Oscars and I realized how it's degenerated into something that nobody would ever want to see again. And that crying fit by William didn't move me one bit, not one bit. I think maybe he bit off more than he could chew. His career has been too good, and he has to sabotage himself because everything was totally unnecessary. And the fun's gone out of show business. The fun's gone out of movies. I haven't been to the theater in 20 years, and I probably will never go again. If I want to watch a movie, I'll bring it up on some free pirate thing or rent it, but I'll never go into a theater again because I don't like Hollywood. I think they're elitist. I think they're stuck on themselves. I think they're full of themselves. And all they are entertainers. And the gladiators and the jesters have taken over the kingdom. The kings, princes, and earls have all moved to the side. It's the peripheral guys that are in control now, because that's what makes the money. But the money's going to dry up because nobody's going to go pay to go to the theater over the next year or 2 or 3 or 4 because of inflation. They won't be able to afford it because everything goes up. So the price of a theater ticket goes up, the price of the popcorn, the price of the candy. Nobody's going to want to go. Why would they want to go? Why would they want to sit in a theater with people talking behind them and a bunch of other BS going on? And they can just go home, bring it up on their TV, and put it on a widescreen TV and watch it in the privacy of their home. So that's over. I think this was the last Oscars we'll see in this lifetime, because the conflagration's coming. All that frilly stuff that we've entertained ourselves with is going to go way by the wayside, because we're going to have more to worry about than who wins the best picture, who wins best actor, who wins best choreographer. That's going to be totally, nobody's going to care. I mean, really not care, because they're going to be too busy looking for roadkill for dinner. So I'll leave it at that. I didn't even want to talk about this, but I saw it and I want to comment on the social situation a bit. I didn't say a whole lot. I wasn't very articulate, but maybe I was. Sometimes I say good things and I didn't mean to. But I do like Will Smith, and I like Chris Rock, and I like Denzel Washington. I like whatever the hell his name is. Robert De Niro. And I like Madonna, and I like Whoopi Goldberg, and I like Baldwin. They do good work. They really do. But their politics are up their ass. So we'll see how that goes. I give them a fair shake. I give credit where credit's due. And everybody should. But they don't. They never do. So they better get it together, because you see what happens. They're eating themselves, just like my last episode about famine, eating themselves. You watch what happens. You watch over the next few months. I'll leave it at that. I hope it said something. I'm sorry if it was boring. Good night.